during one of the surgeries, I went into a coma. So it was an induced coma, but during the surgery, I didn't wake up, and I woke up one day later. And that was, I would say, very difficult phase for me. So, and I realized that I need to work on it. I need to change things. I need to rebuild myself. Then I attended a somatic workshop, which I must say was a life changing experience for me. And I could see the foundations of emotional intelligence. Now, it didn't happen overnight. It took me some time to figure things out, to time to reflect and apply that to different sort of wounds I was carrying. So
Get ready to reclaim your life, discover inspiring stories, practical tools, and the path to true happiness. This is Reclaim Your Life with Irina. Let's begin the journey. Before we start the next conversation, I want to invite you to check out my amazing book, The Gift Inside, a powerful guide for healing your body, mind, and soul. Reclaim your strengths and awaken your true potential. Whether you are navigating heartbreak or simply seeking deeper fulfillment, this book offers the tools to turn your struggles into triumphs. It is time to unlock the gift within you. Available now on Amazon, or you can check it out on my website www.irinashehovtsov.com. Hello and welcome to Reclaim Your Life with Irina. Today we have a special guest, Abhra Pal. He grew up in India and moved to Australia with his family for work and ended up staying here. He is a published author and a poet, and it gives me a great pleasure to have Abhra on the podcast today. So welcome. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me, Irina. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing good as well. So please share with us who you are in your own words.
Sure. So, as you introduced me, my name is Obro, and I live in Melbourne with my wife and daughter. And I work as a software engineer in the financial services superannuation sector. And I am a hobbyist writer. So I have published two poetry books so far, and one of them is actually both of them are written during the poetry writing month. So for those who don't know, April is considered to be the poetry writing month, where you write a poem every day. So when I got to know about this challenge when I was younger, I never thought I would complete this challenge, but I did twice, in once in 2020 and once in 22. So those 2 months of creativity kind of became two of my books, Words from Isolation and Language of Water. And I run a podcast called Stories and Stanza. So I do this to bring inspiring real life stories on creativity and motivation with everyone. And I feel that it is kind of my social responsibility in a way to talk about things that I learned a hard way. And when uh, I didn't have a supportive space, like when I had my troubles and I leaned towards others, uh, I was kind of clueless. So when I found those answers, I thought it would be best to talk about them openly, which is why I started my podcast. Anyone can follow that in YouTube or in any audio podcast platform. It's called Stories and Stanza.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Yes, I forgot to mention that we already met via the podcast, and you do such amazing work over there. And the fact that you published poetry, I think you had to overcome certain things because how you call it, to get there. But it's beautiful what you do, and I really appreciate and admire you. Thank you so much. What are you passionate about?
I am very passionate about my creativity, and the way I am doing the podcast, it is also see that as a part of my creativity. And I think that, life has brought me to the stage where I can talk and present. So I think that's an immense power. So when I am sharing poetry, that is probably reaching only very limited readers. But then when I am talking about it and I'm talking about life's journey and things, it gives kind of a higher purpose. So I have always been driven towards creativity. And as I mentioned, that my job is very different from my creative side of things. So what I do for a living is completely my analytical brain. And when I wrote my first book, a lot of my friends and colleagues thought that I have written some kind of technology book or something. And they were totally surprised that this was poetry. And a lot of that had to do with mental health and awareness around that because it was written during COVID. So, if I have to say in my own words, so for a very long time, the creativity, it kind of give myself a balance. So when I am in the professional world, I am doing something very different. And that is mostly doing for others, that is doing for the job, doing for people I work with, doing for customers I serve. So that was a very different take. And to me, creativity is something that I do for myself. And with my words, I try to make the world a better place.
I love that. I can relate to that because my job was also analytical. And I discovered through singing, singing was my creativity outlet, and painting and dancing, because we are wholesome beings. And it's great when you get to practice both sides of your brain, not just the analytical one, but the other one. And then they can feed off each other as you explore more of your creativity. Then you can be able to use those ideas maybe in your analytical side, and when you do certain types of work or presentations or any materials, and it just makes life more exciting when you can express yourself through that outlet. And in your case, writing poetry, that's incredible. What makes your heart sing?
So I'll just go back to how I started writing. Okay. So I always had this passion to be able to create something, to want to create something. And when I was in school, what I found is that my teachers, they wanted me to write or create only in certain ways. So there were creative writing, but there was a set pattern in that I had to follow to write. And I have all my life I've been a little rebel inside and I didn't connect with that idea. So I'm talking about schools 20, 30 years ago in India. So I don't know how things are at now, but back then it was expected that you are asked to write something, you will write what the teacher wants to see, not what you want to see. And then I had this creative passion within me and I wanted to write. But then my school and my education, my engineering, my profession, everything was to do with the analytical brain. And I never had the guidance or mentoring about creative writing. So when I started doing that, I felt that I have to unlearn a lot of things to be able to create in a way that connects with people. And then I started joining writing groups and reading other people's work. And because of course, I'm a bilingual writer. So I used to write in my mother tongue, which is Bengali. And I learned to write creatively in English. And then for a very long time, I was translating when I was writing in English. And then I realized that there is a little bit of unlearning and practicing and reading, all of that has to happen. So I kept at it and I was part of different writing groups. try different shapes and forms, and gradually, I wrote my first book, which was well received among my friends, and it was on a very interesting kind of theme. Like when I, because I look back at it now, it was written in 2020 April, which was at the peak of lockdown almost everywhere in the world. So we were free, and all of a sudden we were restricted. So now we are very much comfortable with all these restrictions, right? But back then it was new for us. So what I wrote, it was like, now I see it as a point in time that that is what I could write back then. If I write now, it'll probably be much more improved and uh, tuned. But back in that time, this is what I was going through. I was going through all of a sudden. These restrictions came in, and there were all these challenges, and then I lost my father as well. So it was a mix of different kind of feelings, which made me write. And then because I got a very warm response to whoever read my first book, so that led me to uh, you know go to the next step and write further. And now I am in a stage where I see writing a little bit differently, because for the first two books, I have to say that I was not in a very good space when I was writing that. So I was either there were some mental health challenges, or there were uh, some physical challenges. So, for example, when I was writing the second book, in that month, April, I was hospitalized once, and even then, I was kind of writing, because I had this strong belief that it is our pain, it is our suffering that we channel into words. So that is what was my kind of strong belief. And then gradually, when that pain eased off and I had this life changing experience to becoming who I am, now I see my writing very differently. So it has, for me, it has to have some purpose, it has to have some core messaging in it. I'm no longer writing from pain. So, what would my third book would be? I'm kind of debating myself on what to write. I have a few projects that I want to write. So I definitely I want to write a third book of poetry, and also I want to write a non-fiction sort of motivational memoir kind of book, which in context of which we spoke, which is the Fail With Me series that I'm running on my podcast. And I feel that that messaging kind of needs to go out in the world. So there are different things that I'm kind of considering. And my daughter wants me to write a children's book. So there are a number of things that are in the pipeline. So yeah, and then again, I have my job and things, so I don't have a lot of time to write at the moment. But it is in my sort of to-do list, and it is in the horizon that I want to write.
Mhm. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. What was that moment in your life that caused you to wake up, where you were living in one way and then you decided to make a change for the better?
I wouldn't say this is like a one day kind of thing. It's like uh, it was over the time that uh, I had these challenges. So one of them was my wife had a very severe depression phase, and then she stopped communicating with me, with our daughter, with her family, friends, and she stopped her job, and she kind of completely isolated herself, and she wanted to eat the same thing every day. It's very hard for me to understand what she was going through. And when I asked everyone, I asked my family, I asked her family, her friends, and of course the doctors, I was kind of clueless. Okay. And whenever I went to the doctors, they said, okay, it'll pass. It's something that'll go away. But in that whole process, I was working very hard, and I was like, be hard on myself. And I had no clue what I was doing wrong. Okay. And I was kind of thinking that maybe I'm just, I'm just wearing out from physically as well as emotionally. And there is no coming back from there, you know. And gradually, we found a specialist doctor here in Melbourne who told me that I understand the situation your wife is going through and I'll help you recover. It'll not be straightforward, it'll not be overnight, but it would gradually work. Okay. And my wife said, no, I don't trust that doctor because she was in that difficult phase. But I kept doing it. When she started getting better, I had some problems on my own, and I had like 3 to 4 surgeries in last 1.5 year. And during one of the surgeries, I went into a coma. So it was an induced coma, but during the surgery, I didn't wake up, and I woke up one day later. And that was, I would say, kind of very difficult phase for me. So and I realized that I need to work on it. I need to change things. I need to kind of rebuild myself. Okay. And then um, I attended a somatic workshop, which was, I must say, was a life changing experience for me. And I could see the foundations of emotional intelligence. Now, it didn't happen overnight. It took me some time to figure things out, to time to reflect and apply that to different sort of wounds I was carrying. So, of course, one of them was related to my wife's wellness. So she slowly got better. Then it had my health issues, which slowly I improved and got gotten back from it. And then there was the foundations of emotional intelligence, and I had a lot of that to apply to my personal life as well as in professional life. I'll give an example here. So in professional life, because I was saying my job is an analytical work, there's a lot of times I have to go and present and get people on board with the ideas. And when people challenged me, then I took it upon myself. I was very upset, and I would frequently get upset or angry. And I didn't know why. I was kind of had a belief in me that, oh, my idea is so good. Why aren't people listening to me? Why are they fighting this? And then gradually I realized that I had this unmet uh, sort of issues in my heart, like sense of approval, which is why I saw my success in how people accepted me. And when I learned to untangle that, who I am, what I'm presenting, and how people are reacting to this, it made my life so much better, smoother, and easier in terms of work. In terms of my personal life, when I came to terms and understand what I was kind of holding back. So this is what I was trying to tell you earlier, that for the longest time in my life, so I'm 43 now, and for, let's say, 42 years in my life, I used to believe that I have to channel my pain and frustration into creativity. But now I see it very differently. So I was no longer carrying a weight on my shoulders when I had that somatic workshop, and I could understand, okay, what this healing means to me. Okay, so I had some negative experiences, if we want to call that trauma, let's be that. But I had some negative experiences, like, and I cannot stop that. I cannot keep that from defining me, who I am. And the moment that realization came, if I have to physically, give an example, it's like I was walking with a lot of weight on my shoulders. And one day I felt that the weight is gone. And because it is gone, I can do anything that I set my mind to. And that was pretty amazing, I would say. Okay. And all that, I'm really thankful to people who helped me understand emotional intelligence, self awareness, and applying that to myself, my family, my work, and my creativity. So that was a long answer to your question.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And yeah, you're so right. You know, the past negative experiences, they shouldn't really define us. They're just experience at the point in time, and we get to recreate each day as new. But of course, it is a journey for you to get to where you were getting, little by little, by taking those approaches and helping your wife when she was in that state, and you were trying to see what is the remedy, how you can help better. And you didn't give up, you keep on persevering, you kept on going even when she says I don't want to do it. You kept on going with the doctor, and until you saw result, and then you saw success in that area, and then for yourself attending that somatic experience that kind of opened up your mind for more possibilities, and you were able to let go of, I guess, that heavy weight that was holding you back. Like you said, that you were carrying heavy weight on your shoulders, and now you're able to move freely. You're creating poetry, you're expressing yourself, and that your creativity changed from pain, and now it's more towards purpose or towards something in the future, but it's not tied in the pain anymore. And that's very, it's amazing.
And I was talking to some of my guests, I think, in recent times, and uh, during the interview, it kind of became reverse, and the guest started interviewing me. And when I told my story, they said that you should consider yourself lucky that you had that life changing experience, because a lot of people feel stuck, and they don't they are not lucky enough to understand that throughout their life, and they become bitter and bitter as they grow old. And I feel so much lighter and exceptional than ever before. I'll give another example related to the same thing. And, uh, when people in a corporate job, they get stressed out, and then I used to smoke, and I used to drink alcohol, and I felt that that is numbing the stress and the pain and the frustration of the job and everything. And when I realized this and look back at this now, so I feel that there was something we were compensating, that there is a pain, like this is a scale, there is a pain on one side, and we are putting some pleasure on the other side to balance it. But what if you let that pain go? You no longer need to balance it. You are at peace, and you can do anything. Like, you can, if you set your mind to something, you can definitely do that. And this is what I try to say in my podcast, and the reason why I request guests to come and share their story, so that someone listening in can understand that all the failures in our life, they are trying to tell us something. They are not negative, they are not stigma, they are not issues that we put in a box. We just look into this, be mindful about it, and we can uh, you know turn things around.
Yes. So thank you. Very well said. What were the three biggest lessons you learned as a result of your wake up call?
There are many ways I can possibly answer that. So for me, when I heard the word emotional intelligence previously, okay, before the message truly synced in, I thought that IQ was more important and EQ was less important, because you have to succeed in your life, you have to have a very high IQ. But gradually, I understood that EQ is, or emotional intelligence, EI, whatever you want to call it, is equally important, if not more. So it tells you that how you are going to use your skills. So that I would say is my biggest learning. And if I look into self awareness, it's very easy to say self awareness, but what is self awareness? And the reason why we struggle with self awareness, because we think, in many cases, self awareness is tangled with a perspective. So, for example, now you are talking. If I keep thinking who I am depends on how you see me, or depends on someone else sees me, then that is not self awareness. Self awareness is holding the ground and feeling beautiful about it, feeling confident about it. I'll explain that with an example as well. As I said, I'm a very analytical person. So all these things that I've learned, I have kind of explained, and I maintain a journal so that I do not forget about this. Okay. So, so for example, when we talk about like all the negative experiences, right? So we keep we are always expecting our results to, you know, success is what we desire. That is success. So I want to get these marks, I want to earn this money, and I want to have this happiness in my life, and things like that. And whatever that doesn't that comes in our way, you say, oh, okay, this is, I have failed, I'll put it in a box. I've failed, I'll put it in a box. So gradually, I learned to kind of understand that every data is important, whether it is a good data or whether it is a bad data. But it's not like they are have to be shoved away. They have to be put under the rug. They have to be, put it in a bin and thrown away. Everything, if we look at it, they have information. We just need to have that insight to process that information and see what they are telling us. So this was like a very important sort of learning. And the third one would, I would say, that the concept of neuroplasticity, that our brain is not like any other physical organ. It's the only organ in our body that can reshape, change, and form a different kind of path as we kind of grow. Now, all these trauma or negative experiences, they are an emotional memory in our brain. That's an neural pathway. And then, whenever we come across something that goes closer to that, brain raises an alarm saying that there is something unpleasant. There is, like, for example, if we get a cut, we will avoid that cut gets, touched into something, right? So something like an bruise internally, that we are protecting and saying anything goes closer to it, deflect it back. And that is where all these uh, negative reactions, anger, frustration, sadness, depression, all of that comes. But it is not like we don't have to deflect it always. What I have learned through all these exercises and experiences, that it is possible to give an alternate path. So we are going from point A to B. So path A that is etched in our mind, that emotional memory, is traumatic. But there is another path from A to B, another alternate neural pathway. It is possible. And what happens is the negative one that is created in our mind, which we are trying to protect, it's giving us a cocktail of hormones that we think is delicious, like adrenaline or cortisol and things like that. It's a cocktail that we get um, addicted to. But the moment we give an alternate path, which is nice and soothing, and there is no pain in it, the old path fades away, which is brain's neuroplasticity, which is healing. People call it in different terms, but in essence, that is what it is. And then you realize that no trauma is forever. You can, if you know how to pinpoint that, then you can change that, and you can see yourself as a better person.
Very beautiful and important lessons. Emotional intelligence is so right, is so important. But I think growing up, we learn the IQ is important. You have to do
Yes.
this, like you got kind of a program or a rule. This is what you must follow. You must strive to achieve high grades. Then you must go get a career. Then you must go get a family. And then hopefully when you retire, you finally can do something else. But you're so right that we are wholesome beings and we got to have those pieces together, working together alongside each other. And that would allow us to be better humans in the end, with IQ and AQ coming together. And then self-awareness, you mentioned very good point. It's not how we see ourselves through a lens of somebody else, but how we see ourselves from our own point of view, with our own set of beliefs and values. And, keep going no matter what anybody says, because we all see each other through the perception of our own filter. Like if we have certain preconceived notions about a person, this is how we see that person, the labeling that we have. I'm associating this label with this person, but this is just my perception of it. And you're so right, we must cast those things aside when we become self-aware, because I think that filtering can keep us stuck, because we are trying to achieve somebody else's expectations of who we must be, and we deflect our own. We don't even explore our own. We don't even allow that. So discovering self-awareness and who you are and what makes you who you are according to you and not what somebody else says is very, very important. And yes, it is a process, because we have to first unlearn everything that we've been fed from our authority, figures of authority, our parents, our school. And we gotta discover our own thing. We gotta discover what it is, why we are here, and what makes us tick. And finally, the most important, the concept of neuroplasticity. Nothing is permanent. Everything we can change, and we have such an amazing, mind. And it all goes to kind of what we think about, we become, and realizing that, like you said, every emotional memory is this, every negative experience is stored in the memory, and then that memory is stored in our subconscious mind. And the more we go back and relive that, the more of it we create, and we create like a big tranche of this neuron, while there is such an unlimited potential for so many other possibilities. And when we let go of those things and start practicing little things on this other path, then yes, the trauma part can fall away, and we can experience something different. We can discover an alternative path. But oftentimes it's difficult to see when you're in the middle of your event, in the middle of a hopeless situation. But change is possible, and it's beautiful that you've discovered that through having your transformative experience. So now that you have had your wake-up call and you learned your lessons, What is your mission now?
I think that the way I am doing my podcast at the moment, I am spreading some amount of positivity. And when I thought about Fail With Me, the title last year, I was, I had a very limited vision that it was my own story. But then gradually, so many people told me that it is their story as well. So there is a connection with people. And then I think that it is slowly making a difference. I'll give an example. In my show, I have spoken with doctors, spoken with therapists, I have spoken with writers, I've spoken with the other speakers, or those who had a big sort of change in terms of in their life, and gradually all this its universe is bringing these people in my life and me in their lives. Is because that we are working towards making the world a better place. And it the no the knowledge that I have learned in my life, it's not my knowledge to keep. The moment I start sharing it, the moment I tell people that this is something you can learn and you can bounce back from where you are, it is entirely possible. And once you understand that, the possibilities are limitless. So it is, in a way, I'm sure, would help someone. You know, they can come back and they can do things better. Because if I look back couple of years, I thought that my wife is not going to get better. I'm not giving my child a good childhood. I am wasting my health, and I'm not going to succeed in my job and all these things. And the kind of when one negative things happen, it kind of attracts another negativity in our life and kind of grows bigger and bigger and bigger. But once you know how to chip at it, then nothing will stay. So I believe that with my voice and my thinking, it would slowly it will make life easier for anyone who needs to hear it.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I love that. That's why this podcast is here too, to spread positivity, to spread hope by having people like yourself who share their stories, their life changing, altering moments, how they were able to come out and discover better life. I love what you're doing, and your podcast is incredible. I loved being a guest on it. Um, who was your hero growing up? Did you have somebody you looked up to in your life?
I think I did. Like, it would be hard to name one person as my hero. And at some stage, it has been my father. At some stage, it has been some cousin. When I went to universities, probably it was some of my seniors. But I kind of never remained same person that way. And I think with my father, I had a very complex relationship. Like, I had a few arguments with him and we kind of drifted apart a little bit. But now that I have this awareness and I look back at it, I understand what we were kind of lacking. And there's no point blaming either of us on this, because that was in that point in time. But now I understand him better.
What were the qualities of your mentors or your heroes did you want to emulate for yourself?
I thought for a very long time, like, when I read something beautiful that really resonated with me, I saw my that writer as my role model. So what I felt is, I wish I could write like that person. I wish I had that vision, that creativity, that craft. So this is, I think, I would say, what an uh, role model would inspire in me.
Mhm. Thank you. Beautiful. Was there any book that you read that kind of inspired your journey, something memorable that you can recommend?
It is it's difficult to say pick one at the moment. Different at different times of life, I've had like different books that has helped me understand these things. It's very difficult for me to pick one book. I am a big lover of literature, fiction or non-fiction. My home in India is full of books, and here also as much as possible.
Yeah.
So there are many books. It's very difficult to pick one over the other.
All right, very well said. Well, for me, one memorable book is Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. I don't know if you heard of that one. This is basically what is in a nutshell is doing 1% better every day. So a year later, you could be 365% better from where you are today. So not comparing yourself to others, but just becoming better in any area that you choose. That kind of my favorite one that I can read over and over. What was the smallest thing you've done that had the biggest impact in your life so far?
So this is something I'd say this is more of me as a father. Okay. So when COVID started, okay, and uh, my daughter was grade two, grade three, something like that. And she said, Dad, can I take some art classes? And I said, yeah, sure, why not? Because they stopped going to school and they were trying to get like the classes online, which was very difficult for them. And then I looked around everywhere where I live, and I couldn't find an art class because in Melbourne also they started very strict lockdowns, and you couldn't go more than 5 kilometers from your house, and all these gatherings were restricted and things like that. So and I couldn't find anyone in next like maybe 4 or 5 suburbs. So then I decided that when I was little and I wanted to be creative, my teacher said, "No, you have to do this. You have to," like what I was trying to say. And what I did for my daughter is that I said, "Look, I'm going to get you all the art supplies you want, and you take my iPad and you take my Apple Pencil and use it to do a digital painting." And I set up her app and things like that. And she started painting. And now she is very confident, and she says that she knows what she wants to draw. She has her unique style and everything. And she's pretty known in her school for what she's drawing. And she says that she's very confident about it. And now when she looks back her old drawings, she says, Dad, this is not good. Why did you say it was good? Then I said to her that I was trying to set you on a path. Whatever you have discovered, it's all yours. For me, when I wanted to do something creative, I was told that you cannot do it. So you don't have a creative voice, you don't have a creative language, you have no sense of music, and these things. So that created a mental barrier for me for over 30, 40 years. But for you, I don't want anything to stop you. I just want you to know that you can create. You don't actually need neither my feedback nor my inspiration, but I just have to give you that little nudge, set you on a right path, and you can do things. And I think I see, when I see her creativity flourish, it kind of fills me up with joy. That I remember, and the same thing happened with her writing as well. So one day I remember my wife was out on a class and I was cooking, and my daughter was like really small, and she said, Dad, I want to write down the recipe. And I said, what do you know of a recipe? And she says, no, you have an ingredients and you have some steps, so I want to write it down. And I said, yeah, feel free to go for it and write a recipe. And I told her what I was doing, and she showed me, and it was full of errors. And I said, "You did a great job. Wonderful. You are such a great writer." And then last year, I think they mailed a story from school that she had written in the class, and it is so beautiful and so mature writing. And I cannot imagine me at that age writing such a beautiful story, from the language, from the plot, from everything. And I think that how I encouraged and how I set her on this path, that is a big difference. She'll probably understand this at a much later stage in her life. But I made everything kind of possible for her. And it gives me great joy as a parent that I was able to make a difference. And I told you, I'm a bit of a rebel. I never go by what I am told, and I always challenge ideas that, if I'm told something, you have to do it this way. And I feel that I'm going to see for myself what works best. And I'm going to see for myself what works best for my daughter. And, and things like that. So I think the way I uh, addressed her self awareness needs as a child, I'm sure that when she grows up, she will be able to see the difference. And she can definitely see it in her class that she's much better than her friends in drawing and writing. And I keep getting these emails from school that, yeah, she's doing really good with writing, she's doing really good with art. And I feel that I've done the right thing.
Yes, I love that. It's so beautiful. And you're so right. When we were growing up, there are always these rules. You're in this box. But funny thing is, when you finish school, when you go and work somewhere, they expect creative ideas. But for so many years, they taught you how to follow rules and be in the square. And now they want you to come out of the square. So kudos to you for encouraging your daughter and not pointing the mistakes, but showing the good things that were done, the ideas, like at such a young age, deciding to write a recipe and not kind of penalizing, but encouraging. And yeah, you allowed for the creativity to flourish. I think that's incredible. The more creative they are, the better their life becomes. They're not going to feel depressed or dull because they always have these ideas. The curiosity is alive when it's not restricted and confined in the square boxes that we must always follow. Because who to say this is the right rule? There is no good or bad, right or wrong. Everything is a perspective. Everything is like an exploration, and we get to discover those things by trial and error. No failure, but trial and error and experiencing what works, what doesn't work. As long as we have some kind of North Pole where we're trying, going towards. So I love that. Thank you. What is your superpower if you had to pick one?
I think my awareness, my newfound awareness, is my superpower now, because it is changing me, who I am, how I communicate, and how I carry myself in my professional world as well as my creative world.
Beautiful. Thank you. I think that's an important quality to have. What do you want to create next? Any fun projects you're working on that you like to share?
Yes. So this is, I think one of my friends said to me when I was talking about the second book, that your poetry has to be cherished, it kind of has to be carried all the time. And I want to create a hardbound book of poetry. Should be small rights, not too big, so that one can carry it with them, whenever, wherever they want. And if they're feeling low, they can read a poem and it can light up their day. So something they can cherish, because so far I was creating paperbacks. I never created a hardbound book. And if it's a big hardbound book, no one will be able to carry it. So I want to create it in the smallest size possible, and I want to design it that way. So that is one of my kind of wish list, and I've actually started writing it in bits and pieces, but then I'm not in any rush to publish.
Beautiful. Thank you. That's incredible. And I wish you success in that endeavor. And I think it's great, having something small that people can carry as opposed to these heavy things. That's awesome. I love it. Is there anything I haven't asked that you would like to share?
I think we have covered more or less everything. We talked about a lot of important parts in my journey. And now I get such warm feedback on my podcast. It kind of fills my heart. But I wanted to say this that for the very long time, I hesitated to put my voice out there. So someone told me that I don't sound very good. Okay. And it kind of stayed with me and said that, oh, probably if I start speaking, no one will listen to me. Then I started my podcast and someone said, you are horrible, horrible person. I mean, the way you speak, it just doesn't make sense. And we cannot understand a word you are saying. There is no caption. Your accent is weird. And I said, oh my God, am I doing this wrong again? So I I didn't believe in my own voice for a very long time. So uh, but so what I was referring to was like kind of recording my own poetry when I heard these things. But then some people said your voice is beautiful and you should start a podcast. So I started a proper podcast, which is like in full length. Earlier, I was just recording my own poetry. So, which is when I heard these things. And then I feel that whatever they were saying about my voice has nothing to do with the beauty of my voice. I have to feel what my voice is, and then I can share it with the world. So, what I am doing, my creativity and my podcast, I think it has shaped me. It has made me who I am today. And anyone who wants to hear that, please join my podcast as well. Believe in
Like,
yourself.
thank you. Thank you. I think it's so important, believing in your own voice. No, it gives you confidence. It gives you um, this level of understanding that you're able to express yourself and not who cares what anybody says. The more you do it, the better you become, and it's just one person's opinion of who you are. You have your own way and how you bring yourself, and a podcast is such an amazing opportunity. I called you meet other people, and also you discover more about yourself through this kind of work. And I love your podcast. I love what you are bringing to the world, and different sections, fail with me and bringing authors and sharing ideas. I think it is important to share that information because we can inspire somebody. We can help somebody who is on a bad path and looking for a way out and not seeing it anywhere. So I love what you are doing. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming on. It was a pleasure to have you. If people would like to connect and learn more about you, where would they go? Where can they tune into your podcast?
So they can search for Stories and Stanza in any audio podcast platform or in YouTube. They should be able to find my channel. And I have a kind of link repository, the link tree thing, which I'll share with you. It has all my links. Anyone wants to know about the podcast, there are some documentations available. And I am planning to create some references for people to read as well, because the podcast is pretty big, right? And then if anyone wants to have a glimpse of what is the podcast, what are some of the concepts that we are talking about, so I've started creating those things in Canva as well, so as a reference kind of. And I'll share that link tree reference with you. It should give people a good idea to find me.
Thank you. Thank you. And where can they find your poetry?
So I have both my books on Amazon. So if you search with my name, it's Abhra Pal, Abhra, and surname Pal. So if you search with that, it should show my books on Amazon. I have an Amazon author page now that I have like two books. So yeah, I predominantly publish in Amazon. So if I publish the next book, it should be there as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We'll include everything in episode notes. It was a pleasure to have you. Thank you for sharing your wake up call with us and your lessons. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Let's make the world a better place.